is going to be on relationships and the concept of codependency and co-commitment. And we're going to talk about 12 concepts or 12 decisions which will help us to improve the quality of our love relationships. Now, most of the things we're going to be saying will be oriented towards couples, that is, man-wife or male-female relationships, but they also can be applied to all kinds of relationships to some degree. First of all, we need to understand the difference between a relationship which is based on dependence and a relationship which is based on commitment. When I am dependent on someone, I am feeling insecure or unhappy when I cannot be with them or when I cannot control them or if they are not with me. So it's a relationship in which one is dependent on the other. When I am dependent on someone, I need to control them. So immediately we get into control because I need to control whoever I am dependent upon so that I can get from them what I need to get from them. So let's look at some of the differences between codependency and co-commitment in this sheet that you have with these two columns. In codependency, we need the other's approval. We fear his or her rejection because our sense of self-worth is dependent on what the other person thinks about us. In co-commitment, we accept ourselves and the other. In codependency, we cannot feel well if the other does not feel well. At our state, we feel responsible for their reality. Whereas in co-commitment, we want the other to be well, but we can be well when he cannot or does not want to be well. So it's one thing to want the other person to be well and to try to help the other person to be well, and it's another thing not to be able to be well if the other is not. That's a dependency in the relationship. And also we don't help them. We don't help the other who is not well by not being well. We don't add to their wellness by adding our unwellness to the situation. Right? Okay. 3, we need to solve the other's problems for him when it's a dependency relationship. In the co-commitment, we help the other in any way we can, but we do not take responsibility for solving his or her problems. Because if we solve their problems, we just make them more dependent. I just finished a discussion with a woman who now her husband wants a divorce after so many years, and he feels suppressed by her, and she can't understand that why he's feeling suppressed. And when we examined it, it wasn't that she was suppressing him, but she was always solving his problems. And every time she solved his problem, this was undermining his own sense of self-worth. His suppression was because he was becoming more and more dependent. So a strong personality, we may feel that I'm doing well by solving my loved one's problem, but actually I may be doing them harm because I'm making them dependent on me, and I'm undermining their own sense of inner strength, security, and self-worth. Number 4, we cannot be happy unless the other is satisfied with us. This is different from number 2, that the other one is feeling well. Now we're looking for them being satisfied with us. One thing for them to be satisfied with life, another thing for them to be satisfied with us. In co-commitment, we want the other to be satisfied, but we can be happy even when he or she is not. We do whatever we can to make them satisfied out of our love, but we're not going to let our self-worth be dependent on whether they are satisfied or not. We have a sense of who we are. Number 5, we need to protect the other or be protected by him. So we can get in one of 2 roles here, the protector or the protectoree, the protected. Okay. In co-commitment, we have faith in our mutual ability to protect ourselves. This overprotectiveness, of course, exists much more in a parent-child relationship, but can also exist between couples. Number 6, we feel the need, we need the other in order to feel secure, worthy, or happy. Whereas in co-commitment, we feel safe, secure, and happy from within. 7, we are afraid to tell the truth because the other might be hurt or angry. In co-commitment, we communicate the truth in all cases. 8, in codependence, we lose contact with our needs and live through the other's needs. And we stop feeling our needs because we're afraid of conflicts, perhaps, which could be created if we express our needs. And so we don't express them. In co-commitment, we try to find a fair balance between our needs. Our needs, we can't live only by our needs. If we're in a relationship, we have to respect the other person's needs. But also, we cannot get lost in the relationship and ignore our own needs. Number 9, we can imagine living without the other. In co-commitment, we want to be together and enjoy each other, but we can't accept not being together, being with the other. So it's a preference and not an addiction, not an attachment. In codependency, we compete for power and self-worth. It's an antagonistic relationship. Whereas in co-commitment, we empower each other. Rather than trying to see who is right and fighting about who is right and who is wrong or who is more correct, we empower each other rather than fighting for power and self-worth. And 11, we avoid participating in the other's interests in codependency, whereas in co-commitment, we participate in others' interests. We try to become involved in what the other person is interested in. Okay, look at the next page of your packet. These are some questions from a game that we have made, which is out of stock. It's called the Love Game. And there are 74 questions here which couples can answer and get to know each other more deeply. It's a nice game to play. These questions were on cards, and so you picked the card, and the card that you had one of these questions on it, and you could answer that question, and that helped people get to know each other. It's a real fun game. Okay, but move on to the third page.